All right, the whole world is back to normal. Thank God.
Well, not really. It's Tuesday.
Well, our world is.
True.
All right, somebody's got their fucking phone on. Which one of you idiots?
Probably me. Dave.
Jeez.
I'm that guy. Hey, it wasn't me.
Sorry.
Yeah, for once it wasn't.
It could have been Tad. We should have just blamed him.
That's
anyway.
a demerit
right?
for you.
Hey, we're Power and Speed. 908-751-0211. Call in. It's a good night to call in. Actually, no, it's not, so don't call in. You humble anyway. Tad?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. I mean, Monday. No, Tuesday. All the people are complaining that we're doing the Chief and Sean show now or whatever.
Yeah, well, I didn't understand that guy because he wrote like cryptically
Yeah. It's
something about Chief
Tad,
and Sean.
Tom, they look forward to hearing us.
Yeah,
How on the ball you
exactly.
think they are?
Well, then
True.
somebody said, "Oh, Mike's got to sell off all the equipment to pay the bills." I was like, no, it ain't going that way. So,
Sell off all his equipment. What are you, high?
no, that's how Chief and Sean did it. So we must be following suit.
Oh, what? They had to sell off stuff?
Yeah, they supposedly sold all their equipment to pay their bills or pay the lawyer bills or some BS.
Lawyer bills for what?
I don't know. I still don't know what they were.
I'm not buying
Allegedly,
that.
whatever.
I think those guys are doing just fine.
Yeah, I think they're probably.
I think they ran out of time and they're like, hey, this podcast is stupid. It doesn't make any money.
That's quite possible.
You know that's possible.
Well, hi, Dave. Since everybody knows you're here, since you left your fucking phone on.
Hey, Dave Localio, Head Games is here, folks.
What's up?
How are you? You are.
I'm fabulous.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having
It's good to have you back.
me. Good to be sitting in the seat,
Hell yeah.
hanging out with the boys. And of course, it rained. Talking about cars.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some car shit. That game you play is actually pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Series?
Pro Series?
Drag Race.
So you got to build a car and all that stuff?
Yep. You can put blower, turbo, nitrous.
You don't have any blower cars,
All at
do
once?
you?
Yeah.
Do you get to select what heads? I just had to ask.
Oh.
Just billet head or.
Okay.
You can't pick like what size cylinder. Which did Rich Mogul tell you to get? He has never told me to get a certain head. No. But he did get me into doing cars without wheelie bars. Mm-hmm. So now that's been my next quest at how fast I can go without a wheelie bar and on a street tire.
Is this an iPad thing or is it a?
Yeah. I think you can get it on the Android too. You can get it on anything.
Yeah. Okay.
I own like every car in the game. I can't stop playing.
So how does it work? Can you just, you got to gain points or win points to buy stuff, or you could just build whatever car you want anyway?
Yeah, you gain money
From winning. Okay.
and you can race online.
Okay.
So you can bet like $10,000 on the race.
Okay.
And then you can buy different parts if you want to.
So how much money do you have? Like you have a lot?
I have 4.6 million.
Yeesh.
All right.
So clearly it's in a realistic scale.
So, all right. So if I was, that just means you play way too much.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to start, but I had no money, we could race for like 250 grand and you could let me win. And that would get me going.
I could probably help you out. I don't think 250 grand, but I could give you 20 grand.
It's not real money, Dave. You cheap ass.
You're getting
fuck.
cheap about
I
play
know.
money.
Yeah.
Monopoly money here.
How about, I was just going to say, how about this? How about I bring $500,000 in Monopoly money and I'll trade you for a quarter million
exchange
of
rate
your
here?
shit.
You know how hard I worked for that money?
You didn't.
I
Okay.
sat on the shitter. I've sat laying in bed. I've done all kinds of stuff trying to make that money.
How much time on the shitter? What's the biggest race you ever won?
Mean like money wise?
Yeah.
I think I bet 10 grand is about the biggest.
Then how the fuck? How much are you playing that game? You're at 4 point something
way
million.
too much. Way too much. Way too much.
Clearly.
I mean, you got 4.2 million.
And I got 30 cars, and they're all completely
Done up.
modified.
Oh, so you could sell them and make money.
I could. You get about 130,000 a car.
Yep. Wow.
So you can donate a car to you, and
It's crazy.
The only thing that I play online with the iPad is World Series of Poker. And I firmly
You still
believe
do that?
Yes. Yes.
He's good at that.
And I actually, when I went up to the Sands here locally, I can't remember who we went with. I think it was like Brian and a few other people. We just went up there, and I went off on my own and joined a poker tournament. And it was like, I think there was like 500 something people in it. And then like 3 hours later, I'm still there. And like, everybody's like, where the fuck is Mike? Finished 21st, and the top 20 got paid.
No
and I'm
shit.
like, you motherfucker.
How much did they get paid? Like, what did 20 get paid?
It was 100 to enter, and I was going to get, I think 350. I think 250, 350, something like that. Well, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was more than it wasn't like you got your money back.
Yeah.
It was good, and I was pissed.
I played in one tournament my whole life that what the hell is the name of that place? Year one. You remember that when I played with Chip Foose and all them?
I remember you talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was years ago, wasn't it?
Yep, it was a lot of years. I played the only tournament I ever played in, and I won.
You took Chip Foose's money.
No, he ran the thing. It was his the sickness that we were giving him money to was progeria.
Oh yeah.
It was for his sister.
Aren't those little kids that look like they're 100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his sister had it, and we raised it. It was $1,000 a seat,
Mm-hmm.
and it was pretty cool. You didn't win money; you won prizes. Like I won tires and wheels and a guitar, and it's pretty cool.
Well, I guess if anybody wants to race online, I guess that's good.
Or play poker.
Play poker. Poker can translate a little more into real life. Like really down on your luck.
Yeah. He's really good at it, though. I don't know. He doesn't share secrets of anything except
Because it's fucking
cooks fucking hamburgers.
It's balls and luck. Like everybody's like, oh well, that if there's this and this and the board's this and there's a 7.9%. I don't have any fucking idea.
You're right. It is balls and luck.
I don't have any idea about that stuff. I know some little tidbits. Like if you're looking for an inside, like what are the odds? But I mean, like once you get off like the basic stuff, I don't know.
Yeah. You just got to get lucky.
Yeah.
Like if you have a lot of clubs, there's a good chance that there might be more clubs coming out, and a flush is a good hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And that not knowing has whacked me a bunch of times. But yeah, if you want to play the racing game, I guess, what is it, Dave? What's the name of it?
Pro Series Drag Racing.
All right. That's the last time we're saying it because they're not a sponsor.
Yeah, this is true. But the thing that we got to talk about
is the premium members.
No.
Sorry.
No. We're going to raise their pricing.
We should.
How about the guy crashing a Pace Corvette?
Oh, what a hump.
I mean, how fast do you think he was going? Because everybody's like, well, like people are like, well, he was probably going 100. Fuck no, he wasn't going 100.
Well, that's actually what I thought at first, but then I saw the video and I watched it a few times. What was he going? 60?
Yeah, I was going to say 50, 60.
You thought it was that fast?
Yeah.
Yeah?
To hit as hard as he did.
It's kind of a bad angle too, because you're looking at the car kind of from behind. And you can't put it against something to see like what you would think speed wise. Like there's no way to estimate it.
Yeah, right.
But when he got sideways and hit the wall and the amount he bounced, he didn't like. I got to tell you, I've seen things hit at 60 and they don't just kind of bounce off the wall and roll partway across the track. I mean,
I don't remember.
They move.
I don't remember if the wall was a safer barrier if it moved.
I don't think it was.
I don't remember.
The front of the car didn't look like it was.
Well, I mean, it was a temp wall. They built a racetrack in downtown Detroit, so it might have. Who knows?
You mean that's not there all the time?
But it could have been. No, it would have got stolen last time. I think they put it up every night.
I speak from experience of crashing a vet.
Uh-huh.
Those things are just not easy to drive.
Yeah.
Like I hit second gear. I was looking at the road through the passenger window, and usually I'm comfortable with that. But this particular time I was not, and I got out of the gas. And once I got out of it, then I was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
If I just stayed in it and I just drove out of it, I think I would have been all right. But
I think you're almost better to loop them. Like if you're getting out of shape, you're almost better because maybe then you got a chance of kind of getting yourself back together after you're facing the right way. But when it goes the other way, you're already locked the other direction. It snaps back and you're just like, oh, fuck.
you're just along for the ride.
Yeah. They're rough. But yeah, that was pretty rough. You mentioned that guy's going to have a rough time at like board meetings and stuff.
man.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
I hope there's a couple guys like me and you working there.
Yeah, we're talking we'd buy Matchbox cars and smash the front with a hammer and like leave it in front of him.
We put it on his desk, glue it to his phone.
Imagine they have a podcast, right?
God.
I have yet to stop hearing about mailbox. I mean, to this day, I still hear about this mailbox.
I didn't know that you crashed into a mailbox, but I'll remember that now.
And I ain't hit a normal mailbox. Like, this guy loves his mailbox.
Oh, so he concrete.
Big stud on the ground and a gigantic box. I'm sliding towards this thing thinking, what the fuck? Like, all the boxes I can.
Did you blow it up or did it kill you? Did it kill the car?
I exploded it. No,
Nice.
The wire harness was, and the ECU was laying on the ground.
Oh,
I started it up. It was in limp home mode.
wow.
And I drove off.
You're lucky.
And I put $100 in his new mailbox when he put it up.
What the hell's this?
That was nice of you. So what's up with you, Tad?
Well, made it here with the Subaru.
Yeah, you still. I know. It's amazing. Isn't
The
it?
never-ending project has come to an end. Well,
Is it fun to drive yet? When are you going to tune it?
probably next week. I can put another 500 miles on it, and then it goes on the dyno.
Oh, balls. Just take the fucking thing there.
It's going there Thursday.
1,000
Gets oil changed. They have to check, make sure everything's
Oh, well,
okay.
let him tune it then.
So wait a minute. Are you going to bring it there on Thursday to
knucklehead.
change the oil and then bring
Yes.
it back another 500 miles later?
Yep.
What a tool.
I don't get what happens in between there.
Yeah. You please tell us
if
that.
it doesn't seal when you start it and you're driving it, what happens?
Well,
in between
the bearings break in. I don't know.
there? Where does it go? I don't get it.
Yes.
Okay.
You're
Start it up,
the
if it ran, you change the oil, put it on the dyno.
that's what we've been saying since this show started. That was one of the first subjects we talked about was breaking in engines. I mean, when a NASCAR team when they put a motor in a car, they don't run 2 Talladega races to break it in.
No, I witnessed at TK, they'd put it in a car and they'd drive up and down the highway to break it in before they put it on the dyno.
We go through, we talked about this a million times. Warm-up cycle, check valve lash, do a basic check to make sure everything's okay. And maybe one heat cycle, cool it.
Yeah.
Get the oil temperature back up, and that's it. Have at it.
Yep.
And the only thing they did was get better.
Yep.
That's whatever.
Lisa used to always say, if you break it in like a pussy, it's going to run like a pussy.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I mean,
Start it up. We would just start them up and run them on the dyno. That was it.
Well,
You
that's
watch the vacuum come up.
yeah.
Once the vacuum came up, we check lash.
Agreed.
yeah, just basic.
That
Make
was
sure nobody left anything loose. No mistakes. No,
No rags in the
Yeah.
under the intake manifold.
just dumb shit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Tad knows.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hello.
Hey guys, it's Vince Tiaga.
Hey, Vince.
Hello.
How are you, man?
Vince Tiaga.
Great guys, how you doing?
We are doing well. We got your partner in crime here.
Hey Dave, how you doing, buddy?
I hope this guy knows you well enough. I mean, it sounds like he does, but I mean, you can come across a little. You know what I'm saying?
A little queer.
So that I didn't say it. No judgment here. We're all good. I'm friends with Tad.
You can't say the Q word. Well, you just did. It's okay.
Quite.
I'm kidding.
Well, Vince, it's very nice to have you. And
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Dave has already prepared us for or prepped us and told us some of the shenanigans throughout your life and how you got to here.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got into the cars in general, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I mean, my story is probably going to be very similar to what you guys have all either heard throughout, your different interviews or even yourselves. I was kind of infatuated with cars as a kid, always working on, I actually started out with RC car stuff. So it was a passion that I really just couldn't get out of my head. And it's something that it kind of followed me. So into high school, I started off with small displacement engines. I had myself a 1970 Volkswagen Bug. Had a 2035 in it that I built in the backyard. My dad always used to get so mad at me because I'd be using his tools to tear the thing apart, and he'd always wonder, what the heck am I doing tearing this thing apart all the time? But he didn't realize that I was taking it out to, I lived in California at the time, and we'd go out to Etiwanda, Ontario street races. And we would take it out there. I needed to fund my habit somehow, so I was out there trying to collect as much money as I could so I could buy parts and pieces for it. So the small displacement stuff kind of stuck around for a little bit, and I got into the Hondas, and that's kind of, I stumbled into that because my dad had a manufacturing company, and it was geared towards aerospace manufacturing. Back in the 90s in California, a lot of that manufacturing went away. So we kind of looked around for different avenues to create income. And some of the small displacement engine stuff seems like it was growing and kind of untapped.
Now, was it a CNC type company or what was it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was full CNC. I mean, we had a full complement of manufacturing equipment, but mostly centered around computer numeric control machining. So we had I think there were 7 or 8 machining centers that we had there. So we had the capability to kind of move into this automotive sector and be a little creative, because at the time, the Honda market, which was really starting to take off, was untapped, and it was kind of a white sheet paper where people could get in there and kind of, try things that either hadn't been tried before or had been tried in a long time, but maybe new manufacturing techniques or engine technologies allowed a little bit of this small displacement to replace some of the larger V8 stuff by adding turbos and stuff. And Dave can attest. I mean, I think he saw a huge increase right there in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was lucky enough to, and I guess this is kind of where I got my foot in the door, is I have a couple friends named Ron and Ed Bergenholtz. I don't know if you guys know those two characters.
Yep.
But they gave me a chance because they were having a hell of a time, trying to get engines to hold together. So we started to sleeve engine blocks out of the machine shop that we had, and that turned into a pretty good deal. So that's how Golden Eagle Manufacturing kind of got into the automotive portion of its life, and it's still around today, producing stuff. So we started to mess around, and like I said, Ron and Ed gave me a chance. They let me sleeve one of their blocks. They put some faith in me, and it's kind of been history after that. We moved from making 500, 600, 700 horsepower all the way up into the 11, 12, 1300 horsepower range, and this is back in 2000. 2, 3, 4 is when it really started to get hot and heavy, and that's around the time frame that I met Dave, and some really smart, really good people came out of that kind of sport compact world. If you look at Tony Palo, just tons of people. I think even Dave, when he was first getting started, it was the bullish racing guys with the Toyota Solaras. So there's been a lot of history that has kind of jumped out of that small displacement sport compact world. So it's kind of it's been a stepping stone for a lot of us. So that's kind of how I got into the automotive side of my career.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Then you moved on to the Miata. I mean the Mazda.
What?
Not the Miata.
Right. Yeah. So we did get the Mazda. Yeah. It was a campaign by Mazda to start pushing their piston powered engines. So Ron and Ed, they were Ron was a pretty good, pretty shrewd contract deal maker. So he had a lot of connections with everybody. So he got ourselves a sponsorship through Mazda, and it wasn't huge, but it was enough to put the car together, and we went out and campaigned that pretty successfully for a while. Set a few different records here and there, and that gave me the ability to kind of spread my wings a little bit and mess around and learn. And that's just kind of moved everything forward from there. And I got a phone call one day. This was early 2005, if I'm not mistaken. And I was looking to make a little bit of a change. I wanted to try and do something. So I get a phone call from a gentleman named Russ Oblinas, and it's kind of out of the blue.
I know Russ.
And so what Russ had was he had a place out in Wixom, Michigan, where he had started to kind of pull together General Motors racing back underneath the General Motors umbrella, rather than just spreading it out amongst all the different companies. I saw that you did a podcast with Kevin Pranger over at K-Tech earlier at the end of last year. And, Kevin has a real thick history with doing a lot of work through General Motors. So he's no stranger to what Russ was doing at the time. And so Russ was pulling all these resources together to try and create an internal General Motors racing organization again. And, before long, we had 4 engine dynos that he had set up out there. He offered me the job to come out, and I was manufacturing pretty specifically back then. So we pulled together, some equipment, and we started manufacturing a lot of parts and pieces for some of the internal programs, and then that kind of just grew and spiraled internally and turned into a pretty big powerhouse. We brought in a lot of the racing programs in-house to try and regain control of some of the quality and some of the direction that we were doing, and to maintain some of the IP that we were really working with. So it was kind of an old hat, but yet a new venture for General Motors to get back into this ownership of performance development again. And I think that's evident. I mean, even if you look at some of the product line, it's really kind of performance based now. You know, they have a lot of performance variants in Cadillac and the like. So a lot of that technology has been spurred by having this GM Racing internal.
Now at that point, was that the actual goal? Was GM trying to get it all back under one umbrella, or was it? Forgive me, this name Russ was.
Yeah,
he
Russell
trying?
Blennis, yeah.
Was he trying to get it back under for GM, or was this another business venture that now went all the way to GM?
You know, it's a little bit. Some of, I believe, the desire to bring it back internally was just so that we can maintain control of IP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and a lot of that, what we were doing was there was a lot of really good companies that we were working with. I mean, we have K-Tech, we have ECRE, you know, Hendrix Motorsports. There's a lot of different companies that we facilitate work through. And they're all really good key partners to keep with us. But the one thing that I think for some of these projects really was just to bring it in-house so that we can say that it is a GM-produced power plant, you know, GM designed and maintained. And I think that was just kind of like the ownership that Russ was looking for at the time. I guess another factor you can kind of put in there was a lot of this, you know, bringing from external, internal was right around the time of the recession and the ultimate bankruptcy of General Motors. So that it was a very big cost savings to bring it in-house. And that kind of drove, I think, a lot of the direction that we had.
So were you involved in the Ecotech program?
I was, but more from a manufacturing standpoint. And just, you know, a lot of the characters that were running the program, you know, through the Roush network, and before that, the Bothwell crew, you know, maintaining pretty good friendships with those guys. But yeah, mostly from a manufacturing standpoint, was my involvement there.
Yeah, I met Russ through that. I made some connecting rods for him.
During that.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Yep.
I just want to set the scene for what was going on when he was with Ed and Ron. GM basically surrounded these guys in that class that they were racing in. Like, it was a lone Mazda and like 4 or 5, I think, Ecotech cars.
Yeah, there was quite a few. Yeah,
they were trying to win the championship because these guys were just kicking everybody's ass.
Yep.
Every time they showed up to the track with a Mazda, and GM just couldn't get it. So they got Vince.
I recall.
Yeah. That's how you'd like to do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, what they did was they set the bar. So it was actually a lot of fun to work with those guys. If nobody's challenging you, man, you don't do anything. You gotta keep pushing it.
That's true.
And Steve and all them guys they were pushing it.
Oh yes, they were.
So now coming up to today,
in the motorsports, they get into win.
Yep. Now, so coming up to today, the entire Corvette Powertrain project is all entirely GM in-house, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So we take care of everything. Everything from the castings that we have made to the machining of all of the engine component blocks. We do have some key partners that we work with for componentry. A lot of those we have pretty long-standing relationships with, but it's fully curated by an internal resource of General Motors. So that's what I actually am flattered to be able to call my project, is this Corvette Racing Powertrain for the GT2 Corvettes that we campaign with Pratt & Miller.
Go ahead, Dave.
Do you guys use factory parts in that? Like, what's the parameters that you're going to go off of? Like,
well, so the Corvette is kind of an anomaly. Yeah, so it's all based on the LS7, but it has been so legacied. I mean, a lot of the components that we're running, even still today, their design can be traced back to about 2004. So it's a pretty mature program. It's a pretty mature product. the cylinder heads, they're kind of bespoke to the program. There's nothing that they are resemblant of. They are specifically Corvette Racing LS cylinder heads. But the block itself is an LS7 block. But the rules allow us to move away from, like the lower crankcase we cast. We have a fully machined and custom sump put on this thing that's all integral girdle. And we can change all of the rotating and reciprocating assembly to whatever we please. So there's a lot of freedom there, and it's kind of unfortunate, but there's not a whole lot of production content, but the fundamental architecture of the engine is 100% GM LS.
So these engines are actually based on a real LS7 block, like production.
That is correct.
Wow. Because initially, when the C5R program was going on, they had that C5R block, correct?
That's correct. So that was a completely custom block. That was a 7-liter.
Right.
It was linerless, Nikasil coated bore, and really didn't have a whole lot of tie back to production. So that was a GT1 class back then.
Mm-hmm.
So when they switched to GT2, when the GT1 class kind of was axed, the rules really, it made it difficult to kind of move that technology. So we needed to go to a production block per the rules. So it's kind of a directive of just the class change that we were going through. And that's where we subsequently lost a lot of displacements as well, as they made 5.5 liter the maximum there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where we're at today.
Wow, I didn't know that they were actually an LS7 block. That's pretty amazing.
But the bottom end of it's all carved up, correct?
Well, you can't really do too much. I mean, the block itself is virtually LS. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on there that would differ from what you could, grab a standard LS block and differentiate between the two.
Wow.
Did you say 5.5 liter?
Uh-huh.
It is, yeah. So the bore and the stroke are obviously smaller. But yeah, it's 5.5 liter is the displacement maximum for the class.
You guys don't do a big bore, short stroke.
No, we still have a decent sized bore, but yeah, we definitely de-stroked it.
And what about camshafts? What can you do with a cam? Do you guys try all kinds of different lobes and designs and springs?
Oh yeah, and again, this is a program that I cannot take any accolade for the engine design itself. I mean, there has been countless people that have worked on this thing throughout the years. So the camshafts and the like, I mean, a lot of that is developed, and then once you homologate, meaning that you lock the engine into a specific design, you really can't veer from that design, and unless you can prove to the FIA that there's either a safety concern or an obsoleted part or something of a durability concern. But you really need to plead your case, and it needs to be valid if you're going to do a change of any sort. So when you homologate your engine, you better get it damn close to being as optimal as you can, because you don't get a second chance unless you have a really, really good reason to do so. Yeah,
and I mean, we've all seen, I read it. I don't know how much other people read it, but I read about the performance balancing that they do. And,
yes.
they got 0.5 millimeter restrictor taken away. They got 50 kilograms put on them. I mean, it's all over the place. So I would imagine from the engine side, they must want to keep a pretty tight lid on what you've done. So if you find an advancement, I guess it looks to me like what people always complain about is the sandbagging. Like somebody qualifies like, okay, but then clearly they're a bunch faster during the race than they should be.
Yeah, and I'm not going to name names, but we have suspicions.
You could name names.
There's a lot of people that especially Ford.
I was just going to say, I think we watched one of those situations unfold.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Ford guys, they're a great group. It's a wonderful organization. We're thrilled to have more participants in the class. That's obviously the goal. But one thing that we do always try to do is maintain a lot of integrity, and I think it's hard to look at the series and not want to bend the rules as much as you can, but not blatantly. So I think what the series is doing, being IMSA in the U.S., they're getting a lot better with policing. I think the sandbagging that you guys are probably used to seeing. So it's tough. I mean, they monitor every channel. They have their own scrutineering channels that they watch. So there's not a whole lot that you can get away with. And then periodically they'll actually take your engine, tear it down, inspect all of the dimensions on everything. And if you're outside of the tolerances that you claim in your homologation document, well, then you got some explaining to do. So you got to play it pretty safe.
One particular one that I think I remember, and I think it was, I don't know if it was this year's or it was last year's, because it was the first time that like a bunch of farm manufacturers were in the class down. But it was, I always get these classes confused. And now that you've got IMSA and everything else is all like everything's changing. But the Lamborghinis came in, and like I was watching some of those things go down the straightaway, and I'm like, like there was a balance problem, and I think they actually got busted, if I remember right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably have. There was in the GTD class, which is the class that's just underneath us, which is kind of like an amateur GT class.
Yeah, that's the class. GTD.
It was Daytona of this year. From what I understand, there was a few people where they actually did pull them back, and they gave them penalties. Because when they're monitoring their channels, they can see them lift in the straightaways or in the corners, or maybe some channel that they're looking at just looks completely out in left field compared to where it should be. It's just they're keeping a really close eye to try and make sure that integrity for going full out, especially in qualifying or in like we just did the pre-qual out here at Le Mans. They want everybody to show their cards, run an honest race. And that way the spirit of the race is held to a pretty high regard. So we want to make sure that doesn't get lost.
The 24-hour races, to me, they're an event that I like try to never miss. I mean, to me, it's amazing. I think they're just fantastic. I would love to go to one, in person and be there for the full 24 hours, because that's really amazing. And I guess some of the people, like a lot of our guys are drag type guys and everything. I don't think that they fully grasp what has to go on for 24 hours. I mean, that's
Rich
amazing.
Mogul does.
Yeah. I'm sure some of our guys are real geniuses, but it's really an accomplishment. And that's why like having guests like yourself on is so fascinating to me. I mean,
it's a lot of fun, and I completely get what you're talking about. Coming into this, I was a drag race guy, man. I do a quarter mile. We do a couple laps like that. We tear the engine down. We rebuild it. We look at everything. I mean, you guys know how it is. And then I jump into this world, and the damn thing has to survive, 3,200 miles of 24 hours of racing where the thing sees, wide open throttle for 75% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible amount of work and technology, and just, I mean, it's amazing what these engines actually have to endure.
Yeah, and it's not
out, looking good at the other side.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, as an overall effort, it's not just the powertrain. It's everything. It's braking. It's every functionality of the car has to be there for that to work. It's an amazing accomplishment.
It's a team sport.
The tires, the crew. It's when they come in. It's 3:00 in the morning. It's pouring rain in Daytona. It's about 45 degrees, and these guys they're kicking ass on the car. Goes up on jacks. They pull the wheels. They fuel it. They switch a driver, and they get the thing back out. And it's 37 seconds or something like that, and then off they go. And it's a real team effort. And I think we're really lucky. I mean, we have one of the best teams that I have seen. Pratt and Miller and the crew that takes care of the car. They really are they're the best team that I think I have ever seen out on the pit. And it's proven every single time that we come in for a pit stop. Those guys are amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Does the bringing it from drag racing to your kind of racing for a 24-hour race or something shorter, is there different engines for different races? Like, will you take power out of a certain combination because you'll know it'll live at that power level
Good question.
Oh,
Dave.
like a sprint versus a long endurance, like what a sprint race might be, a 2-hour race.
Yeah.
When you're talking about that. Yeah.
So if you were to ask me that question, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, I would answer yes, that there are two separate configurations for, the sprint style races or the endurance style races. However, today, when we say that, like when we run the 24-hour Le Mans, it's 24 hours of racing. There's no 22 hours of getting around the track and, just trying to make it toward that last couple hours so that you could put the thing pedal down. It is 24 hours of pedal down. There is no let go anymore. And I think if you talk to other manufacturers, they could all attest. I mean, it's gone from, just a couple of cars. And I mean, look at the fields that are actually, look at the entrants that are actually completing these 24-hour races now. It's gone from, a 40-50% failure rate to if you fail a vehicle, you did something wrong. So I think the bar has been raised, and we actually run the exact same engine with the exact same calibration, running just as aggressively in a 2-hour, 40-minute race that we do here in the States as we do in a 24-hour Le Mans race. Mm-hmm. It gets it doesn't get a break at all. And that's what I think is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's funny to be able to clarify that. And I'm really glad you asked that, because I think that's really important for people to understand. This isn't, we don't baby it to make it go 24 hours. The thing is racing.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to say it. You didn't pull back to make it last. It will last running at its fullest potential. Yeah, that's
absolutely. Yeah. And when we do our validations on our dynos, I mean, we run it for 30 hours and we run it with the most aggressive cal that we have. I mean, we try and mimic all of the knock characterization that we see out on the racetrack. We don't pull any punches. I mean, the thing has to survive. It has to perform, and it's got to pull that car around the track until the very end.
So, do you run these motors through essentially a racing simulation, like for 30 hours? Is that what you do? Like, I mean, like
that is correct.
All right. So, like, you've taken the track data and said, okay, this is a lap. This is what we got to do.
Yep, that's exactly right. So what we do is we set it all up, and we don't give it any breaks. We don't let it come down. We don't inspect it. We set it up with a lap of track data, and it runs that track. And we usually pick one of the fastest laps that we have at any given track. But typically, when we're running a durability, we validate on Le Mans, because it's one of the hardest courses to get through for the engine, that is. So it's got the long straight where it's got lots of, just wide open throttle, pulling up to high speed, high RPM, lots of load. And we let that just run for 30 hours straight while we switch dyno operators and engineers to ensure that they're watching all the channels to make sure that everything's solid.
That would shrivel my butt right up. My God.
30 hours.
Well, if you guys are ever in Detroit, you're more than welcome to stop by our facility up at the GM Racing. I mean, we really have a pretty unique facility that we're offering. We have a lobby that has all of our kind of accolade to show that racing for GM isn't just a hobby. It's part of what really has made GM successful, and especially, I mean, you guys know. Look at the LS engine. I mean, that thing is like the Lego piece of virtually every motorsports around the planet.
Yep, hell yeah! You see them going in the Ford
everything.
Mustangs, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's almost sacrilegious what people do with this darn thing. So it's amazing to see how much racing comes out of these little engines that GM produces. And if you guys are ever in the area, I mean, I'd love to be able to show you exactly what it is that we run, where we run it, and let you meet some of the people that actually are behind the scenes of all this stuff.
I would do that.
I would do that.
I mean, if that's an invite, I'll buy a plane ticket.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It's always doors open.
Does Russ still work for you guys?
So Russ has moved on up the ladder a little bit. He's actually, and I'm going to screw up his title here, but I want to say he is Director of Performance Variance. So you know how you have like a Cadillac CTSV?
Yep.
Or a CTS? He's in charge of the CTSV, so he's in charge of the performance variant of that.
Now that's a cool job.
Yeah, he actually got in pretty well, and then he's cruising along over there. He still keeps in contact with all of us quite often, but I mean he's doing great things over there with the performance side of the production house.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to give him a call.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in probably 12 years.
Oh God, he's such a good guy. He would love, I'm sure, to talk with old friends. You know, he's he's one of those genuine people. He's the reason I came back to work for General Motors in 2000 and when did I come back? 2015. So it's been he's the reason that I'm working here.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. He always was that guy. And I remember him, you know, when I was getting into this stuff, he was a big deal at GM. And, you know, we were all like, man, this guy's a big shot. And he's talking to us like we're regular people, you know? And he was just always really cool.
He's the genuine article, you know, and he's kind of polarizing because he is very upfront, you know, and some people love that and some people don't. But I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think he does a fantastic job for the company. He did an amazing job. I mean, he single-handedly brought GM Racing back up to be what it is today inside of General Motors. And you know, our whole group, where we were in Wixom and now where we are in Pontiac, I think owes a lot of gratitude to him for that.
Well, I'm going to come up and see that joint. Mike, you should go.
Yeah, I'd actually leave my house for that. I would.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to drag me.
So, yeah, we will. So what do you have going forward? Anything cool you can tell us? I mean, not secret squirrel stuff, but you know, anything up your sleeve that you could let out?
Well, you know, there's really not a whole lot on the horizon that's even worth discussing. But just kind of moving things along. My focus is strictly this engine. So it's sounds kind of mundane, but it's always changing. There's always challenges. So I keep myself pretty busy in that respect.
You get to play with race cars every day. Nothing about that's mundane.
What are you,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing right now for Le Mans? Like,
They're making a car go fast, Dave.
And turn.
It's kind of
Turn right, turn left, slow down, speed up.
Yeah. Lots of that, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're calling from France, and you're
Correct.
beta testing.
Yep.
What do you guys test? What do you do?
Well, so we did pre-qual. So what this is the way that they set up Le Mans, they give us a single day, which happened on Sunday, and we have about 8 hours of track time where we go out and everybody kind of pushes their car and lets the FIA gather a whole bunch of data so that during this week now that we have, FIA will go through and look at all of that scrutineering data and kind of see how they want to balance the field out.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just to be clear so everybody understands, they're actually looking at the data from the car. Like
That is correct.
They're not looking at lap times or anything like this with a stopwatch. They are pulling the actual, you know, functioning telemetry data from the car to see who's really running as hard as they should be.
And that is exactly right. So it's more than telemetry. I mean, the quality of the data that they're capturing is huge. They have their own Magneti Marelli box that they put on the car and a bunch of unmolested channeled sensors hooked directly up to it, and they collect the data streamed into their box.
So they put their own logger in your car.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean that's where we say, you know, there's not a whole lot of shenanigans you can get away with because they have a pretty close watch on everything. So once they take that data, it's exactly right. They'll look and see, you know, how things kind of shake out. They'll look at the lap times. They'll look how everything, you know, kind of seems, and they'll make adjustments to the different manufacturers as they see fit. So it's always this week here is kind of just a wait and see type of week for us.
So after this week, is this when they would make a decision and say, okay, before you qualify, we're going to take a 0.5 millimeter from your restrictor?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah. They'll tell people to add weight. They'll tell people to change wing angles. There's a lot of different things that can happen. And you really don't know until they hand it down to you.
Wow.
What's a typical restrictor for you guys?
So that's out here, we're running a 29.5 millimeter restrictor. And so we have two of those since we have a divorced intake plenum.
Mm-hmm.
So we're breathing this 5.5 liter engine through two 29.5 millimeter holes.
Think about that. That's like a little tiny 2-barrel.
I'm trying to wrap my head around how much.
Yeah.
That's
It's
one. Is
just
that
over-
1.2 inches?
Yeah, it's a little over an inch, right?
Yeah.
Like inch and a quarter.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, and that's
2JZ exhaust valve.
Yeah, exactly. You could put it doing the foreign car heads. You could put it exactly in a perspective. Yeah.
To run the whole motor.
there you go. And we're making right around 500 horsepower through that little restriction.
Wow. How much would it make unrestricted?
It really doesn't make a whole lot more than that. I mean, the engine is so tuned into that range that we really don't ever pulled anything to try and see what the power rating would be after that.
Yeah, everything's maximized for
I
working
get
in that depression.
Well,
yeah.
I get that, but if you were to pull those off and then put a recal it to make up for the airflow, I would imagine it can make a bunch more power. No,
I would think, but I believe that most of ours is even going to be a mechanical restriction. I mean, we have the camshaft is so minimized to
right
frictional losses and the like. So yeah, I'm sure most of that, if we did something, would our gain would be very diminishing.
Right.
And we wouldn't see anything huge.
Yeah, because I would imagine RPM range of these things when they're towards the top of the range. I mean, they have to be operating under manifold vacuum at the upper RPM scales. I mean, they got it. I mean, that's got to. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, you get on choke flow with a restrictor. So this engine, we're not allowed to run over 6,800.
Wow.
So that's kind of the rule that we have for our particular engine. That's how we homologate it. And really, I mean, we don't make much power up after that. We get on the restrictor, it gets to choke flow, and once you're there, you have really a drastic turn because frictional losses just start to take the power curve and dump it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Hey, well, I have a listener question. I don't know if you could answer this or not, but one of our guys wants to know what oil you guys run. Is there a brand or specific, or is it some kind of secret formula that you can't talk about?
Yeah, no, I'd love to talk about it. I mean, we have a really, really good working relationship with Mobil 1, and we actually use a Mobil 1 Racing Series engine oil in our program. So we work really closely with them. They're constantly helping us out. They do a fantastic job. And yeah, it's what we run is nothing really that special. I mean, you can go pick it up off the shelf if you can find the Mobil 1 Racing oil.
So like if like you were out of oil and you were in Florida, you could send your pit flunky to Walmart and say, look, see if they got the the racing oil that we use.
What we get is exactly what the customer can get. Yeah.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean that's great news.
I mean, it's a testament. It's a testament to the engine oil itself. That Mobil 1, again, there's a company that pulls no punches. If they produce it and they validate it and they make sure that it works in a specific arena, they offer it to everybody.
Wow,
that's
nice to know, isn't it?
I would not have guessed that. Lake Speed would not be happy about this conversation. You must know Lake Speed Jr., right?
I've heard the name, yes.
Well, he's from Driven Oil. He's been on the show. Great guy, and the stuff that they do is really cool. But he would not want to hear that Walmart Mobil 1 oil runs 24 hours of Le Mans.
Now it has to have the racing logo on there, otherwise it's not the same.
Okay.
That is the only caveat.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
Do you run a heavy oil or a light oil?
It's a very light oil. Yeah, it's a 50 weight.
I was just thinking about the RPM.
65.
Yeah, but something like this, the oil temperature comes up and stabilizes. I'm sure that
that's right.
They're more concerned about like the actual, I guess it would be shear of the oil, and
that's where it plays.
Yeah. So I would imagine that. Yeah, I can't imagine them using zero. I mean, like if they were drag racing, they would, but not this.
Yeah, and another thing, I mean, we noticed too that aeration is a huge thing. We try and make sure that the quality of the oil that's being returned from the sump. It's amazing what you can learn, what these companies can add or take out of oil components that'll help take some of that suspension out of the oil to give you a cleaner oil returning to the engine. So Mobile One's done a lot of work on making sure that's exactly what happens.
Hey, we have another listener that wants to get involved. The name is Gabby Tiaga, and she writes, "Hey, hon," and a heart. So,
oh, jeez. Hi, hon.
Yeah, you got to give a shout out to her, man. Come on, that's awesome.
Yeah, give a shout out to the wife. She's over in Detroit. It's 150 here. So what is it over there with you guys? Is it 750?
Yep. Well, she's holding down the fort. She's probably doing a great job. So it's really cool that she's listening to you.
Yeah, that is cool.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she's got the whole family there and the kiddos. So it's pretty neat.
It makes me a little embarrassed about some of the stuff we might have said earlier. We got
I don't think we said anything bad.
A little bit. That's all right. We'll keep it PG for me.
Yeah, it's a family show now.
Family show now. I have a question. So you went through your testing here, your pre-qualification. Did they tell you if they're going to take any performance action yet, or when does that happen, and how far away is actual qualifying?
We don't get to find that out, I don't think, until probably the end of this week, if we're lucky. So we won't know anything for a little while here. That's kind of why I don't know if Dave had the ability to go check out my Facebook, but we took some time off and I headed up to Paris with some of the guys, and we were cruising around the Eiffel Tower. So we're trying to just, relax a little bit because the storm is coming and we're going to need to get back to work here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. All right. And when is qualifying? Like the actual real deal qualifying?
So the next time we're on track is Wednesday, and that's when qualifying starts.
Oh, so the balancing is going to happen that quick between here's what you got to do and now you're going to qualify?
That's right. So I have a team back in Detroit in Pontiac that has one of our engines sitting on dyno. So should the call be made to change the restrictor, we'll go ahead and facilitate running that engine on dyno again to make sure that all of our calibration, all of our fueling curves are correct, and we'll just make sure that we have the engine set up so that it's optimized for whatever condition that they deem is what we're going to be running in the race.
Wow, so you got like just a little bit of notice to get this all...
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a very, very fast-paced reaction, and you either react or you don't. And I mean, that's I think what kind of defines the difference between those that want to win and those that actually put forth all of the effort to try and get
Man, think about that. You've got everything dialed in right where you want it, and they said, "Hey, guess what, guys? we're gonna add 50 kilograms. We're gonna take away 2 millimeters of restrictor, and oh, by the way, your wings are all wrong." I mean, oh my god!
And they don't, and then they walk away and don't care at all, right?
They don't. Yeah, I mean, it's right. It's not their problem to worry about. But again, they're doing their job, and we're just reacting to try and make sure we do the best that we can on our side.
Wow.
Hey, I hear
it was last year that we actually had. I apologize. We actually had a couple restrictor changes. I believe we had one restrictor change before the tires even touched the track.
Wow.
So they'll swap it around on you pretty quick.
I would imagine that the restrictor is less of a problem than putting weight in the car. And somebody just asked if you need to put weight in the car, did they tell you where to put it, or do you just they say, look, you got to carry another 50?
I think they can just tell you that you just have to carry another, whatever the weight is.
So you could try to put it in at least like a neutral location.
Absolutely, yeah.
So one of the guys on the chat room is saying that he wants to know if you can make shift levers for race cars too.
Yeah, that's kind of how this got started.
Yeah, apparently. So now we know that if the car breaks a shift lever, you're going to be whittling one out. Probably.
Well, thank God there is no shift lever in this car, so we're good.
Sure, yeah. Well, you got a lot of fans here, which is cool.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I mean, this is always something. And anybody that listened to the previous podcasts, they've heard me, gush over all the Corvette racing stuff, the K-Tech and all those guys. And I watch it all the time. And like, I remember I was pissed. Like somebody said, why do you hate Porsche? Because of this.
Yeah, you were pissed.
I was pissed.
I remember.
I was like, and like, you don't ever want to be so rotten that you're happy that somebody had a problem. But for some reason, those guys really bug me. I mean, they might be the nice guys in the world, but the Porsche guys really bug me. I can't put it into words, but don't like them.
Just to give you an idea, Mike puts on his Corvette socks before every race.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I do have them, thanks to a listener, but no, I don't.
He does.
But I do have a yellow Corvette, a
don't.
yellow 427. So,
You have 2 yellow Corvettes.
well, I keep forgetting about the other one.
So I have.
You should come out. I mean, we're going to be in Watkins Glen, pretty shortly here after Le Mans.
I would do that. I would do that too.
I'm going. I'm already.
Yeah, that's
are you
what
really?
Dave had told me that he was going to come out. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'd go to that.
Okay. Tad?
Maybe.
It's a great race to go to. It's a great track. It's a beautiful area.
Hey, I have a question completely off subject.
Sure.
What do you know, if anything, about the new Corvette power plant, the mid-engine deal? Do you know anything?
Even if I did,
You couldn't tell.
I don't think that it would be smart for me to talk about it. But to be honest, I mean, there's so much secrecy in and around that I read the same tabloids that you guys do, and I get my information the same way that everybody else does. I haven't heard anything come through the grapevine at all.
Yeah, I bet
So
that's
think,
like super secret squirrel. That's like,
Well, that's what one of the listeners said. We need secret squirrel stuff.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
trying.
yeah, yeah.
I would imagine it's going to be cool
pretty
in
tight.
the end, whatever it's going to be.
I would hope so. I don't think that they would put anything out if there is, any change directionally. I don't think that there's going to be anything to worry about. But
You guys only have how long do you have off? Like in between the end of the season and the beginning of the season, I think you only have a month or so, right? Like before you start.
Dave, we don't get any time off.
no.
I mean, and truly, being the engine side, we stick the engine back on dyno, and there's no downtime. There's zero downtime. So we're constantly developing it.
Well, yeah. When do they force you? I mean, see, like there's actually a good question about this. This particular engine package. How long has this been in existence, and how long? What's its scheduled life? Like, I mean, if they did, and certainly not, saying that you told us anything we didn't already know, or what we haven't already read. But if they went to a dual overhead cam engine, does the organizing body tell you need to move to the new stuff, or how do you stay like where you are? I don't know if I'm asking that right, but I wonder what's the life of this particular platform.
I believe that question is answered by a very large paycheck, both on our side and between the FIA. So, to be honest, I'm not exactly clear how that would shake out if that were the case.
I mean, is there a mandated, like, let's say the new Corvette body design comes out, how quickly does that have to be deployed to race? I mean, is it like that year?
I don't think that there's any stipulation that requires it to come out. The only thing that's going to give us any heartburn, I believe, would be strictly our own vehicle becoming so mature.
Gotcha.
Even if there was no successor, if there is nothing that's in the queue that's any different, it's the same thing that happened when we went from C6 to C7. It's a newer car. They update it and they keep moving with it. I think that if there was any change, it would be something that both General Motors and the FAA work together with to find out what the timing would be if that were the case.
Yeah, and I guess they didn't make any changes. Like they didn't force you to go to direct injection or anything, did they?
No, they actually quite the opposite. When we went from GT1 to GT2, they forced us to take the direct injection off because we didn't have a production variant that had direct injection at the time. So we had to go back to PFI, and that was kind of a scramble because that happened. I don't want to mislead it, but I want to say it was around just after Le Mans of 2012, maybe. So we were running PFI specifically for a couple of years until we came out with a GM direct inject variant in an actual Corvette, and that allowed us to put direct injection back on.
So these things were direct injected before the factory stuff.
They were. Yep. Yeah, we work heavily with Bosch on a lot of that development, and they're another crucial partner for us.
Well,
I wouldn't have guessed that they were direct. I would have thought they would have always been port. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we actually have both right now on this configuration. We have what we call our near injection, which is the DI, and then we have our far injection, which is the throttle body up on the top, little just EV14 stock LS7 injectors sitting up on top of the throttle body. So we have 2 injection strategies on this particular engine.
Oh, so it's an individual throttle body with a restrictor in it.
We have a restrictor that it's fed into a plenum. Then that plenum then feeds the individual throttle bodies.
It's a lot of info. That is a lot of info.
I'm still stuck on the 29 millimeters. That's just insane.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So tiny.
To make 500.
It is tiny.
Wow. Well, you probably need to get some sleep at some point, and
Yeah, getting there.
and we appreciate you calling in, and we're glad that Dave has friends in high places, because it's been really cool for me to listen to it. I'm sure the fans were loving it. So
I'm flattered. Yeah, Dave.
don't be.
Don't
We're
be.
flattered.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's funny.
No, I am. I mean, thank you guys. It's nice to be able to get on and just have good conversations with good car guys. It's an honor to be on your guys' show, and I'm going to be listening a whole lot more from here on out.
Well, thank you. Get some sleep, and we really appreciate having you. And hopefully we'll see you. Listen, I would love to come up to Detroit, but maybe the Glen or maybe both. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, this is specifically the Corvette stuff. Followed it for so long. Not because it's a Corvette, but that's GM, man. That's the real deal right there.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Well, again, thanks,
You're
Vince.
more than welcome. The door's open. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Yep. See ya.
All right, man.
Have a great night.
All right.
Wow. They were
That's a big
direct
deal.
injected.
That's a big deal,
Yeah,
guy.
that was a shocker.
That's a big deal, guy.
They were direct injected all the time ago.
Yeah.
That kind of surprised me.
Me too.
Because I was going, you understand where I was going? Like,
Yeah.
Do they force you to make the generational change
right.
as the motor changes?
Right.
But then I guess
They were ahead of it.
Yeah, they released their project, to FIAA or IMSA or whatever, body they're running under. So I guess they can do some of that stuff. Wow, that's amazing.
It really is.
Huh. Who'd have thunk it?
I mean, it's really funny how this little show gets, these kind of people. And
Yeah, I don't know if everybody fully understands who that guy is. I mean, that is like, and I said it like, I think I said it on Facebook, or I said it somewhere, but like, this is like the top level of anything, like probably non-Indy or non-Formula One. This is as high as you go.
Well, this is the Le Mans, so
Yeah, this is the real deal. I mean, there's movies about Le Mans.
Yeah.
And you're talking to the Powertrain guy of teams that can win this. That's amazing.
They have one.
They have won it. Yeah.
He's going to be a part of history.
I know.
He already has it.
Yeah, he is part of history.
In
Yep.
the sport compact side, he's already there.
Really, really cool.
Really cool stuff with his life.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to call him a good friend of mine. He's like a forever friend.
Yeah. Yeah. You are lucky.
I agree with Todd. Better than any IndyCar. This stuff. Absolutely. And look, it's a lot to watch if you're going to watch 24 hours. But I mean, I try to watch as much of it as I possibly can for both Le Mans and Daytona.
I don't know who could watch IndyCar, actually.
Probably the same people that watch Formula One. I mean, to me, that's even a step worse because it's
they
circles.
turn left,
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. Just it's disconnection. That those kinds of cars, you don't feel any connection to them. They're not. You look at a Corvette, you're like, whoa, that's me.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, or the CTSVs
do,
or the
yeah.
Audis, or it's just, you see those cars.
He didn't mention, but he was in charge of the CTSV program
Yep.
before the Corvette program.
Yep.
The prototype type ones, or I can never get those
No,
classes
they ran
right.
They ran the six-cylinder. I don't know what class it was in.
Well, he was there with the V8s too, no? So
But
with
they ran the CTSV with this. Yeah, he wasn't.
no, it was it was V8 up until only 2 years ago, I think.
Then they just killed the Cadillac program.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe at PRI we'll all hang out.
That'd be cool.
If they go out there again.
We're going out there again. We're gonna have drinks with
Does he not?
No, it's a one day.
He's
No,
such a
no,
social
no.
Misfit, man.
Drive out there, say hi, get in the truck, go home.
He did.
I did. Slept a few hours, gone. Well, it was going to snow. Be fair about it.
Yeah.
Don't make me that much of a misfit here.
That's true.
Wait, snow?
11 hours.
Yeah. No. I
22 hours.
hell no. I think I did it in like
9.
just about 10 flat, 9. Yeah, it was good.
I mean, hell, he could have spun around backwards.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, not having somebody who was crashing and spinning out every 5 minutes driving with me.
Yeah.
No offense. But no, I am grateful to talk to that guy. That's
We should go to
amazing.
Detroit. I mean, that he said it twice.
Yeah,
That's like a legit invitation.
that's like no take backsies when you say it twice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we do have audio of it.
Wait,
so you can't.
did you hit the red button? You
No,
record it?
we've got it.
Okay.
I've got proof.
Because that would be cool.
I could just imagine. Could you imagine that running that motor, simulating laps for 30 hours?
Yeah.
My God. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do it at NASCAR too, just not 30 hours because they don't have to.
Yeah.
I've heard that. It's cool. It's very cool.
This is more of a production base.
Yep.
All right.
So, well, that was good.
Well, anybody got anything else?
Yeah. Hey, Dave.
Dave?
What do you want to? You got anything to say?
Hi.
You want to? I mean, because we're going to wrap it up in a couple minutes. But you want to? Anything going on ahead? Games? You want to plug yourself?
Or do you want Tom to plug you?
Oh,
Sorry.
But
It's looking kind of good today.
bum.
It's like, wow.
Hey, thanks for the dynamic guys calling about the 2J stuff. Apparently, you recommended our Pistons over somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Thank you. I know. Well, I'm thanking you for it. And they ordered. But they'll be happy.
Oh, they'll be super happy.
Yep.
That's where we're off to go. I don't want to plug myself.
No?
I'm good.
Hey, do you want to do a cylinder head, like a pocket port for a dyno test at Scranton's?
Sure.
Okay.
What, you mean a 2J?
Yeah.
I would do a pocket port versus full port.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do.
I don't think we're going to be able to test two heads. You want to do that?
Yeah. I talked to Matt about it, and I've talked to Jay about it.
Okay.
We've talked about.
Well,
that
then,
kind of goes along with all the things we talked about before between volume versus.
Mm-hmm.
well, we're trying to make a lot of power, and if you want to see how much better your pocket, I mean, the full versus pocket is, then we can do that.
How long does it take to swap a head on one of those things?
Not long.
No, not too bad.
Not for those guys. Yeah. It's
Maybe an hour.
maybe a couple hours.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean, if you're thrashing, maybe an hour, but if you work like gentlemen.
Have you put Matt on the show? I don't think you've ever had Matt.
I have not. I should.
Yeah. Matt's a great guy.
I know. Great guy. I talk to him a lot. We did that one test where, that got a lot of hits, and it's kind of scheduled already.
You got a time frame? You can give me?
It's going to be summertime.
That's now.
I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be like July.
I mean, now.
That's really now.
Yeah. Yeah. No time?
I mean, it's like saying, hey, you want to go to my wedding next week?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to leave you out. This all just came up.
I'm down with it.
Okay.
Either way.
All
Yeah,
right.
we'll talk about it tomorrow.
We're actually getting the 2J digitized. I'm going to have a CNC version
Okay.
of the Head Games 2J. So it'd be nice to, maybe we can test that on the dyno.
Good.
Versus, pocket port.
Good.
All right. Well, Dave from Head Games
Yeah.
stopping by
Call him
studio.
up. Buy
That's
some
actually
shit.
pretty nice.
Buy some shit.
All right. So anything else, Tad? Your rear's good?
Yes, and I just found another interesting thing out because you always wonder why animals are always eating your wires in your cars.
I don't think all of us have that problem, Tad.
No, we.
I mean, I'm just
definitely-
saying.
We definitely don't.
I just heard. I think the insulation is made out of a soy-based product, which lets animals.
So the animals are soy boys, is what you're saying.
basically, there's vegan type stuff or whatever the hell. But
You're going to have to stop saying, Tad, do you have anything else at the end of the show? 'Cause
No, but
it's always something bizarre.
they're selling wires now with
Well,
capsaicin.
you know how
in the
that
insulation.
problem where the animals just eat your car when you're not looking? It's
Weren't we just talking about that off the air?
Yes.
Right after that circus clown conversation we had.
All right. Well, we'll be back next Tuesday.
Yes,
It
we
will
will.
be Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So, and hopefully everything works, and we'll get all stuff posted soon. Thanks.
Hey now.